Hello everyone and welcome back to my Unreal Engine tutorial series in making your 3D platformer. In this video we'll be going over making a main menu like you can see here, where we've got our character standing to the side and we've got this nice settings menu. So the reason mine looks like this is I've set you a challenge during the video to go ahead and make these three buttons look like these three buttons. So let me show you how easy this was to get into your game, and let's go. Quick note before we start, I apologize for not uploading sooner. I had quite a few things to do in real life. I changed the way my office is set up. Got some new hardware for my computer, so I was a bit delayed on that front, but it's now all sorted, so it should be good going forward, and you'll get 2 videos this week. Yeah. I've got an announcement in the next video, so look forward to that. And yeah, let's go. Okay, so now that we're in our content browser, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the levels folder. I've already got a main menu, like I said in the intro. So I'm just going to create a new one. So go to right click, go level. Name this level main menu. I'm going to call this version 2. Open it up, save it, and all we want to do from here is go to window, where is my environment light mixer, and then just click on everything here to get a default lighting environment. I'm just going to clean it up a bit. And obviously you can design this however you want. This is just how I want it quickly. And then I'm going to add a shape. So let's go with a cube. So now I'm just going to set this to the 0, 0, 0, which is where we are. And maybe make this bigger. So 5, 1. So we have a floor. I'm just going to drop a material on it. And obviously choose whatever you want. This is just giving you the framework. Design is up to you. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to drag in our characters. So open up your content browser. We're going to go to mannequins. Let's say this one. Let's just use the normal one. Position it how you want, and I'm just going to change this to be an animation asset, and I want this character to idle. So that's essentially how it's going to be. Make sure it's looping, stuff like that, right? Then what you want to do is you want to come over here or right click. I don't think it's going to work from here. Okay, so we're going to go here and we're just going to type center camera. There we go. Zero this out to find it easier, and we just want to place this this camera where we want to see our character as well as the menu. So if we were to put this in, we can now move our character. We can also just pin this. If you come over here, you'll see this little pin here, and then we can pin our character to how we want. So let's say we like it like that, and then we just need to adjust this so that the focus is on the character, because right now it's blurry. So there we go. Adjust this to how you like. You can move it further back if you want, down, say something like this, and that's good enough for now, right? So basically if we were to look through our camera, let me unpin this and actually go to the camera, essentially this is what our main menu would look like, and then we'd have our text on the left here. So I'm gonna come out of here. Okay, so what we need to do now is set up a game mode for this. As you can see, if we come into our build settings, we've got nothing, right? So just open up your content browser. We'll just go to blueprints, gameplay, and we'll just make a new game mode here. Go blueprint class, game mode, and we'll just call this GM menu. I'm going to label it version 2 to go with version 2 here, and we'll just drag this in here, and you can leave the rest as default. Save everything, happy days. Okay, So what we need to do now is we need to come over to our UI folder and we're going to create a new main menu. So I've already got this main menu here, which like I said, so I'm just going to make a new one called main menu version 2. And I'm going to come in here and we're going to go user interface, widget blueprint, user widget. There goes WB main menu version 2. Open it up. I've got a new screen, so this is a bit harder for me to do. So this should be fine, as you can see everything. We're going to get a canvas panel. What we can do, just to make sure we're correct, make sure it's like 1920 by 1080. So just click and hold on this and you'll get the different sizes of your screens. So we'll just leave it at that, right? Great. And now what we need next is a grid panel. I'll drop this on here. And I'm going to set the anchor to the left. And we'll position it, say, 100. Yeah, that's good. And I'm just checking over it here. So we'll make it 400 wide, 600 tall. So we got, that's how big our grid panel is going to be. And then we need another canvas panel. And drop it into the grid panel so that we filled up the space, right? And then on the canvas panel, just make sure this is all good here. And then we need a vertical box. Pop this into the canvas panel. And make sure that it's really horizontal, I think. Actually not sure. Just make sure your vertical box is also the same size of 400 by 600 so that it fills up the space. And now we're going to add a bunch of buttons. Button. And we're going to need 5 of them. So just duplicate 5 buttons. Oops, too many. So the first button we're going to call button resume. For resume game, then we're going to call the next one button new game. For new game, then we're going to go change the next one to button load game, and the next one's going to be button settings, and then the last one's going to be button exit game, like so. Yeah. So now that we've got this, we can go to the buttons and we're just going to change the padding on each of them. So now let's shift select all of them, and I'm going to add about 40 here and 40 there, which is the top and the bottom, just so that we have an equal spread all the way through. And on each of these, we're going to need a text. So just drag a text onto each one, like so. Probably done one button and then duplicated that button once it has everything, but this is fine. So on the resume, we're just going to change this to resume game. Oops, if I can spell correctly. The next one's going to be new game. Then it's going to be load game. I can't spell today. We're going to have settings. And then we're going to have exit game. Right? Just make sure you save every often. Unreal's known to crash, so now that that's like that, right? And you can customize how you want the text to appear or anything like that. For now, this is fine. I'm just going to change how my buttons look now. So essentially what I want is my menu buttons to be invisible until we hover over them, right? What I mean is there shouldn't be a background image until the mouse is over the button. So we're just going to come over to, I think it's this one. No, wait, are we on the right thing? Button. So we want to go style. Yeah, style. That's what I'm looking for. and we want to change this, right? So you just come over to the tint and set the alpha value to 0, and we'll do that for each button. So that we've got a nice missing background, right? And then what we're gonna do to make it hovered, you can just select one and we come over to the hovered, is it this one? Let's just make sure, hovered, yeah, this hovered option, and we're just gonna choose an image. Now I just quickly made an image in Photoshop quickly. So if I come over to my assets, I've got this main menu background over here. So I'm just going to be using that as the image. So obviously we've got the problem of we can't see what it looks like. So come over to normal and we're just going to change how this looks quickly here and then duplicate those settings across. So as you can see, my menu looks like that. So what I actually want to do is I want to make these texts, all of them left justified, just so that when we hover, that's what it will look like, right? So we go back over to the button and then we see this here. So the problem with how this is set up currently is that it's not gonna fit correctly into what we need, right? So what we want to do instead is when we open this menu, this hovered's not going to work correctly, especially if we're using a controller. This is not going to work. So what we need to do is we need to code it slightly differently, right? So I just wanted to show you this for how you can do this if you were just using mouse and keyboard. But if you're using a controller, this is going to be a problem. So we're just going to clear out all of this and set that alpha back to 0. And the hovered, make sure to clear it as well. So we have nothing there, right? So what we're going to do now is minimize all our buttons and the vertical box. And we're going to put images here instead, right? So we're just going to grab an image and make sure it's above your vertical box, but below your canvas panel, right? And we're going to set this to be, let's lock our vertical box just so we're not touching it. We're just going to position over our button and then just drag this out. So let's say it's 400 so that it goes right across, right? There we go. And now we can come in and add the image. So let me get the image quickly, like so. Now you can see it's a bit stretched, so that's a problem. So let's go ahead and change how this looks by dragging this up, dragging this down, and voila, we've got currently a main menu button, or a resume game button. So let's call this RG for resume game, and we'll call this hovered, right? And we'll just duplicate this a couple times, and we'll call this RG new game. RG load settings and exit. And now we can just position these over where we need them, right? So grab your exit and put it down here. So same with settings. You can hold shift to snap it to one axis. Just really helpful. And we've got it like that, right? Okay, so now that we've done with this, what we need to do is we need to unlock our vertical box to make sure we can press the buttons here. And we can now go and hide the boxes for the rest of these images, right? Like so. And all we want to do is we want to come over to our button resume and we'll code this, and then we will then copy the code basically across to the next one, right? So we go on the hovered, then go back to your button again. So we'll go what is it, resume game, and make sure you can unhover the event so you end up with 2 events, right? And now obviously we need something to happen when we hover over the buttons. So come over back to your designer, and we're just going to go over to the animations in the bottom left here, right? And we're going to create a new animation. We're going to call this hover. And what we want to do is we want to get the text of our button as the hover. So drag here, go add, and it should be this option, text, the second option, right? Because you'll see it says text box 66, and that's what that is over here. And we just want to add a key here, and we want to say transform, because we want to make it slightly smaller, and we also want to change the render opacity, color and opacity. That's it, right? So we're just going to come over to say 0.25, and we're going to add new buttons here. So on the transform, we're going to go to scale, and we'll just say we'll make this 0.9, 0.9. Make sure it takes, yep. So you'll see over that 0.25 seconds, it gets quite a bit smaller. Maybe that's too small. So let's make it 0.95. We just want it to be subtle. Obviously, this is, again, design stuff. Color and opacity, we're just going to change it to be black, which is 0, 0, and 0. So essentially it will go black like that, right? And we want to do the same thing for the rest of the buttons. So let's duplicate this, and we'll say this is for text block. Okay, yeah, so what we can do is come over to your menu here, and let's just drag this up so it's easier to see. And we're just going to go to our next button, which would be this one here, and go back to your animations, and just right click on this and go replace with text block. And then you'll see if we do that, happy days. And if we go back to hover 1, you can see we've got it there, right? So we're just going to do this for the rest, and I'll catch you when I'm back. Now that we're done with this, what we can do is, there's 2 ways to do this, or multiple ways. This is just an easy way to do it as well, is you can add the images themselves as objects here. So if we go here, we can get hovered, and then just add the same opacity as it goes over that. So we can quickly show you that. So if I go add hovered, right? And here's our hovered image. I'm just going to do it for the one so you can see. And there is another way to do this. So if we go over here, we go render opacity, right? And at here, it should be 0. And then at the full 20.25, we'll make that 1, right? So essentially, that's what our animation will look like. And obviously, you can change it however you want. And then I'll show you another way we can do it with the new game one. So you can unselect the animation now and go over to the graph, and we'll select the new game button as well on hovered. And I'll just show you it for this unhovered. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get references to our animations. So hover 1 was the resume, or hover 0 was the resume. So we're just going to go play animation forward, drag in like this. Target itself, playback speed, that's all fine. And then we're just going to basically do the same here. Go play animation reverse, like so. So compile and save, and that will show that animation. Now we can do it another way. We can do the same thing, but we can go with the hover 0. Go play forward animation, and then do it again. So same thing here. But now what we can do is we can get our new game image, and we can go set visibility, right? Like so. and then can set here to be invisible, hidden, right? Happy days. So that's how you can do that. Now let's also just quickly code the 2 buttons. We will code a third later, so come over to your exit game button, and we're just going to say on clicked, and we're just going to come over here. Let's just move it to the right instead, and we're going to go exit, quit game, right? And quit. Yep. Okay, cool. And then we can go to the new game and say on clicked. Again, bring it up here, and we'll just say open level by name, and then we let's just go open level by object reference, and then we can just pick the level. So we're gonna go to level hub, right? And that's what the buttons will do. So let's comment, quit game. I can't spell today. And open level, right, like so. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to come over to our world here and go open level blueprint, and we'll say it's over here, and we're going to be working with the begin player, right? And all we want to do, I can get rid of the big tick, is we're going to get our player controller, and we're going to get a reference to our camera. So come over to your camera in your outliner here, you can just click and drag and you'll get a reference, right? And from here we're just going to go set view target. Okay, it's not going to work from that, so let's try from here. Set view target with blend, like that, and the new target's going to be the camera, and we're going to connect this up. And this is just so that our wall camera and the cine camera blend nicely together, but it's just sort of like an extra step. You don't necessarily have to do this. It's just to make sure that if the camera isn't in any weird position, we go there right away. It's a failsafe. So from here we're going to create widget, and we're going to make sure that's main menu, and we're just going to add to viewport. We don't need a variable because we're not going to be referencing it anywhere else in the level. And we're going to get our player controller again, so just copy paste, and you're going to go set show mouse cursor. If you want to use only the gamepad, remember, just go back into my previous video on making your controller work with the game menu, and then we're going to set the input mode to game and UI. And the widget in focus is going to be this one, so you can connect that up like so. And we're just going to drag all of this around like so. Make sure it's nice and neat, right? So when we play this level, it should show us our menu. So bam, there we go. And as you can see currently, the whole menu's disappeared. Why? Let's see what's happening. Okay, so let's figure out what's causing the problem. So let's open up our menu here and see what's causing the issue. Oh, I see. So I didn't connect up this, so basically whenever we hovered over the new game, it hid the whole thing. That should now be fixed, so let's take a look. So open up here, see if we've got it all nice and hidden. And because we didn't code those, nothing happens. And we've got a bit of a problem here with the hover. It's going, the hovered here is taking over everything. So we just need to change that in the settings menu. Go back here, go to our designer, go to our button, and we're just going to change the style of the hovered to be invisible, because we don't want anything there. And same with this button. And we're just going to go to style, hovered, and change this to be 0 on the alpha. And we can also set all of these to have a render opacity of 0 at the start. So come over to brush, tint, put that to 0. Same with this one. Actually, wait, it's not the tint we want to change. It's the color and opacity, because we're changing that. So set this to 0 on each one. Like so. And then when we hover over it, it should now show up. So if I go here, so you can see here, we didn't do those, but here, but we've got a problem of the image not showing up. So let's check out what's happening. It's because we haven't. Okay, so let's change the way it works again. So we go over here and change this back to 1 and 1. This is just design work to figure out what works for you, and we'll set the visibility on this one to be off originally. Visible, there we go. Change this to hidden. Is that the one we coded? Let's just double check. Yeah, it's on the new game, so now that should work. Why this one isn't working is a good question. Here, get your animations, see what's happening. 0 here to 1 there. Now that should theoretically be working. Just try play animation. This one. Forward. Maybe this is why I might be using the wrong node. So let's just try this one. And here. This up. Connect this up. I'm going to switch this to reverse. Let's just copy it across for the other two. Delete these. Connect, 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 connect. Yeah, let's try now. There we go. So also just set your visibility to 0 at the start for this one. And this one's not working, which is strange. But we haven't set up the animations for the rest, it's just on these two. So let's go ahead and do that for the rest of these and just figure out what's happening with that new game. So I'm going to open up my menu again. Oh, I didn't connect these up, that's why. So to check now. There we go, working perfectly. So let's just change that to be 0 at the start, and then we can go ahead. Yeah, select IG resume. I just called it hovered. Okay, it's weird. Just change this to be 0 at the start. Okay, so I figured out why the hovered wasn't working. So we were changing in color and opacity, which isn't correct because in our animation, we set this to be our render opacity. So all you want to do is make sure you haven't got an animation selected, go over to your hovered and then just come down to rendering and just check your render opacity. It should be 1 for you. Set it to 0 at the start. And then if you play now, it should be invisible, and once you go over it, it should work. So these are two methods to get the same results. Now, a little challenge for you, go do the rest. Okay.